Good morning to everyone. And I'm smiling. See some very serious faces in the audience. So I want you to smile. And smile because the future is bright for this sector. Mr. Wayne Willock, President of the Small Business Association, and other members of the board. Mr. Patrick McCaskey, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Small Business, Entrepreneurship and Commerce. Senator Lynette Holder, Chief Executive Officer of the Small Business Association. And indeed, I'll greet the other members of staff at this point in time, those persons that are very important to the running of this institution. Ms. Annalie Babb, Special Envoy to the Prime Minister and Special Advisor to the Ministry of Innovation, Smart Technology. Innovation and Smart Technology, welcome. Ms. Esther Lord Graham, CEO of FunAccess, very important person in this room. We spoke about finances. Mr. Graham Clark, Executive Director of Barbados Coalition of Service Industries. Dr. William Warren Smith, President of Caribbean Development Bank. Mr. Anthony Bradshaw, Officer in charge of Caribbean Export Development Agency. Mr. Jensen Sylvester, Country Manager of Floor, Barbados, and Head of the B2B Southern Cluster. Specially invited guests, strategic partners, members of the press. Let me first thank both the Chairman of the Board and the Chief Executive Officer of the Small Business Association for giving me the opportunity to celebrate yet another Small Business Week with you. I also want to thank you for the invitation to address this forum this morning, the State of the Sector Conference, which I'm being told is the first conference ever held or hosted by the SBA. And I want to thank the sponsors again for coming on board. The Small Business Association is the island's nonprofit representative body for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Despite being incorporated in the year 1982, and this is critical to know, the SBA officially opened its doors in December 1995 under former Barbados Labour Party-led administration. And now again, under the astute leadership of the Honorable Mayor Amor Mortley, she has seen it fit to create a ministry to focus primarily on the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, namely the Ministry of Small Business, Entrepreneurship, and Commerce. That's the level of importance this government has placed to this sector, indeed, in building out these micro, small, and medium enterprises with a view to develop this country in the area of growth and indeed to expand beyond the 166 square miles. As the voice of the small businesses across the island, the SBA represents its members and by extension the MSME sector by undertaking advocacy, education and training, business development, and institutional networking actions. The goal of these thematic foci is geared towards creating an enabling environment for Barbadian small businesses to prosper and make a positive impact to national development. Ladies and gentlemen, and I said this on Sunday, yes, I went to church with the SBA on Sunday. It was a wonderful sermon by Dr. Smith. There's an old African saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This proverb in many ways speaks to the guiding principle of the Small Business Association, which, as at its core philosophy, holds that working together provides the best opportunities for businesses to grow. And I guess that's why we are all assembled here this morning. The organization seeks to establish honest, committed relationship in a spirit of aggressive endeavor and mutual support, pooling its resources, skills, time, and finances to facilitate a more sustainable future for this critical sector we call the MSME sector. The SBA vision is to be the national organization of choice for business and entrepreneurial development. I know it has some rivals in this regard, but that's good because competition is healthy. And I know Ms. Esther Lord Graham is probably sitting there saying that she also has that mandate, and I love it. Its mission, though, is to provide effective representation and exemplary development services to and on behalf of the sector. The services provided to members in the wider MSC sector, and I listed some of them: the advocacy and lobbying, the training and education, business development services, and youth development. I note with great interest the theme of this year's activity, namely small size, big thinking, changing the mindset for global engagement. A lovely theme. And indeed, I often say, and I said to my PS, being the minister and as the Senator Holder said, we indeed as a government, we set the policy guidelines and the policy framework. But being in this sector and being the minister responsible, charged with the responsibility of building out this sector, brings me back to one of the most, let me find the right words, the media is here, one of the most rewarding, gratifying, and indeed exciting time in my life. When I was charged with the responsibility of executing a major project in the other place when I was in the private sector. And indeed I led a team close to 200, or even more if we consider the casual workers. The team was probably around 400. And we were charged with the responsibility of revamping some old equipment and indeed improving the efficiency of that lovely institution in the north of the island that shall remain nameless. But I was very passionate, and the team was indeed very passionate. And we brought all the key players together. An example of what I'm seeing here this morning. And indeed, that project was a success. And it allowed us to improve the production, lower costs, and indeed we had some highly motivated workers. And I know that this project that we're undertaking here this morning is part of a wider mandate of government indeed to build this sector. And I can see the excitement, and I can feel the energy and the passion, and indeed the support network that has been placed in building out this key sector. So in this regard, and upon seeing this year's team, it reflected the sober reality that the immense talent we possess as a nation allows us to be strategically poised to birth a new vision for an MSME sector that must be bold, relevant, and globally focused. To leverage such opportunity, however, necessitates a paradigm shift in our thinking that fits with the team, that will position us to both explore and exploit these gains to be had within the global marketplace that are now so jealously guarded by our international counterparts as a rite of passage. While small business is referred as being at the crossroad of global enterprise, conversely, I share the unpopular view of a global few who are resolute in their thinking, such as you in this room, that small business will in the short become the new big. And I heard Jensen mentioning that several times. In other words, it is anticipated that not only will small businesses no longer be stigmatized as being associated with small-mindedness, but its contribution to the socio-economic development will in short order be heralded as the savior of the post-modern economy. The Barbados scenario absolutely bears no exception in this global reality. This theme also emphasizes the dire need for the emergence of a technologically disruptive intervention, particularly given the current global agenda, where state and non-state actors continue to pay only peripheral attention to the development of our regional economies, and that's true. This in large measure has stymied the growth of regional enterprises in a way that can only be adjudged as unimaginable. This therefore makes an urgently strong case for deeper regional collaboration and cooperation. Ironically, however, this remains so even though our present circumstances give reasonable cause for prioritized recognition to be meted out to our most vulnerable Caribbean neighbors. The need for a paradigm shift, again consistent with the theme, within the context of the MSME development must therefore be pursued, giving greater inclusion to the innovative mindset of a new cadre of young entrepreneurs who are unwilling to be constrained by such parameters as space, size, and an aging business framework that for some time now has taken us nowhere faster than expected. It is in this regard that the Small Business Association's contribution to national development must be applauded. I want you to clap for the association. However, and with caution, let me suggest that this progressive organization dictates that you cannot rest on your laurels, having positioned yourself as among the louder voices of relevant MSME development in Barbados. It is clear to me that like the many other business support organizations in Barbados, you must with urgency, and I'm not saying that you're not doing it, but you must with urgency continue to rethink, reevaluate, and reinvent yourself to further deliver on the paradigm shift in MSME development that is being advanced. Ladies and gentlemen, government has the leadership responsibility to clearly articulate this new vision, a task that it will not abdicate. As an example, government has established both the Barbados Trust Loan Fund and the soon-to-be-established Financial Literacy Bureau to address the perennial need for access to funding and to provide a targeted national approach to financial literacy training at the community and national levels. Essentially, therefore, there is need for a change of mindset within the entrepreneurial ecosystem, the objective of which is to facilitate those systematic changes that must lead to greater operational efficiency, competitiveness, and the leveraging of expanded global opportunity. This brings me now to something fundamental for this sector. And the Senator spoke about the policy framework. The Cabinet of Barbados has also, within the recent weeks, given approval to the reconfiguration of the National Small Business Development Center program, which will in short order be relaunched within the intention of carving out a new space for MSME development in this country. This initiative will, among other things, give greater leverage to creating a new national business cluster development strategy, which will be executed within the national urban and rural communities. Essentially, therefore, this new Small Business Development Center Trust will facilitate a more cohesive and improved micro, small, and medium enterprise sector in a way that hitherto would not have been experienced. I call it the SBDC framework. So this SBDC framework will promote a culture of business and entrepreneurial excellence. It will allow for the standardization and streamlining of business support services. It aims to create an improved operational framework for facilitating operational efficiencies and to promote a culture of increased exports through cross-border collaboration. This SBDC framework will facilitate the sector increased contribution to national development, and it will mitigate many of the existing challenges associated with duplication of business support services and allowing for the effective coordination of resources, including human, financial, technical resources at the agency and industrial level. So we have some key players within that SBDC framework. And the Small Business Association is one of those players. Tomorrow, an MOU will be signed between the government of Barbados and the Organization of American States to advance the work of the SBDC framework, which has been positioned as the flagship policy framework for the development of the MSME sector in Barbados. Tomorrow you will hear more on this framework, but I will list the key players within this framework that the government has indeed initiated: the Small Business Association, Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute, University of the West Indies, Barbados Investment Development Corporation. Those are the players that are the small business development centers. And we want greater cooperation among these small business development centers. We also have some partners in FunAccess and also the Barbados Trust Loan Unit. And these partners, along with the SBDC, will form the framework to implement the action plans indeed to further build out this micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, with you playing your role like you are doing this morning. And I want to announce that Senator Lynette Holder will be the chairman of the steering committee who will be charged with the responsibility indeed of building out this MSME sector. I want to give her a round of applause. Critical to building out this MSME sector, and I call names, and I know Annie Liba will be proud to know that indeed we are utilizing ICT systems. We have a system by the name of Near Zero where everything will feed into this system. So an ICT platform is critical for us to build out our micro, small, and medium enterprise sector. And more importantly, for us to go beyond these 166 square miles. Commensurate to this is the need for a national MSME differentiation strategy that would allow our MSMEs to effectively compete on a global stage. So I haven't given you the policy framework. You now have to. Those firms and those enterprises. You're charged with the responsibility of differentiating your products offering. I often say that countries do not compete, enterprises do. And how do you become a major player on a global stage such as this? You have to continually innovate, refresh, retool, re-engineer, and differentiate your product offering so you can achieve a competitive advantage. Gone are the days of banana and sugarcane. So what you're offering to the global marketplace must have some uniqueness in terms of innovation and differentiation from the other homogeneous products. And that is the only way we as a country and you as enterprises would indeed achieve what we're setting about to achieve. So your focus is on creating a uniqueness among your products and service offerings. To do this, however, will require, among other things, and I spoke about a shift in our creative thought, the kind that will drive us to be innovative in connecting with the types of consumer-driven value propositions that support growth on a sustainable basis and into the future. This is the mindset that we're speaking about, which is being advanced, which puts the entrepreneur at the pinnacle of government strategic focus. There are several areas that we must focus on as well, and I will just list a few in closing. The establishment of requisite level and type of education that facilitates the acquisition of a set of skill sets and competencies to achieve the required skills. So education is critical. That's why we have included Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute as part of our SBDC. That's why the university is critical within building out this entrepreneurial ecosystem and building out this micro, small, and medium enterprise sector. Secondly, we need an effective research and development regime. I spoke about SJPI. Here it is. Academia speaks to research and development. And it is our view within the SBDC framework that the focus on you, the firms, that the focus on building out this entrepreneurial ecosystem will have a very heavy research and development regime. There's also a need for effective support to innovators through a strategic legislative framework. And indeed, very soon, you will see that steering committee focusing on developing a micro, small, and medium enterprise policy and also a micro, small, and medium enterprise act. And Senator Holder is charged with that responsibility. Fourthly, we need to promote access to finance through venture capital and other equity instruments. That is fundamental for us. I visited Jamaica, and I was proud to see Jamaica using venture capitalists in a huge way, and I know Senator Holder just came out of Jamaica with her team. But I want to say to Jamaica, and I'm sending the signal to you this morning, if you're listening, any Jamaicans in the room, our goal, our mission is to become the premier micro, small, and medium enterprise sector in the region. And you in this room, you're charged with the responsibility. Once we set the policy framework, and we are indeed setting the policy framework, the businesses, Jensen, I don't mind, I know you're Jamaican, and also Barbadian. So you have to choose whether you are part of this MSME ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem, or you're going back home. But I know being place number 2, oh, he's staying here. So being place number 2, he will be both number 1 and number 2. So I want to thank you. Lastly, there'll be a need for effective results-based monitoring and evaluation regime. Very often we implement systems, but we don't monitor and evaluate them, and they fail. And indeed, it's not just money, giving money and venture capital to the businesses. We have to continue re-evaluate and examine our system. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that the government really understands that in order to promote a supportive societal effort that is conducive to scientific and technological innovation while enabling global engagement, it must be government's resolve to drive the process and to do so collaboratively. That's my role. In closing, I want to wish the Small Business Association a very productive week. I want to wish you an exciting state conference this morning. And coming out of this state conference, I hope you give the chairman of the steering committee enough work that when we meet on a monthly basis, she will be saying to me, because she has a lot of work now, but this is the driving force for building out the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector. So I want to leave you with a simple quote. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal, but it is the courage to continue that counts. I want us to continue building out this micro, small, and medium enterprise sector with a collaborative approach. I want to thank you.